Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another indie comic review, and in this indie comic review I'll be covering Gargoyles Dark Ages issue 2 and also Mech Cadets issue 1 by Greg Pak. So moving on to the first one that I'll be covering, and that is Gargoyles Dark Ages issue 2. And does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough, it does, to which I give the cover a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into having a look at the internal art around the beginning, middle and end, and also what's happening story-wise. So as the story begins, we end up meeting up with the Gargoyles, and this is set in sort of like dark medieval type times. And we sort of get to learn a little bit more about some of the things that these Gargoyles did in this time period. So it reads more like a prequel story of where this story brings us, or addresses the past, whilst we're still getting comics that are addressing things in the future. We of course get to see the Gargoyles conflict with some of the humans, and we really don't get a lot of their names, which is really disappointing in this, until we finally move towards the end and we see that they want to start to make an alliance with them, and that so hence it links to what the chapter title is. For the internal art, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the story. So first things first, do we get anything addressing time-wise when this is taking place? No, we don't. No, it should actually be included in the story, and I think it would make the story so much better in regards to, at least it gives us, the reader, a bit of an understanding of the time period that this is taking place. I don't care if this is sort of like taking place in like 1200 AD. Just give us an actual time when it's taking place. The next thing is location, to which we still don't know where this is taking place location wise. Is this happening in Europe? Where is it actually happening? And that wasn't addressed in the first one, let alone this one. And things like that really need to be addressed, because if it's not addressed in the story, you're losing points. Next, we have the cast of characters. We have Malcolm, Kenneth, and Mentif, and they're about the only characters that we meet in this. We don't really get any of the names of the Gargoyles, though I think it should have been established in at least the first issue, the name of some of the Gargoyles. And if they're the same Gargoyles that are in the original Gargoyles series, or are these different Gargoyles that are connected to the past and might have ended up dying before we end up seeing our main Gargoyles in the series. Things like that would really make a difference to the story, and also an understanding to the lore of the series of Gargoyles. So for the overall story rating, I give it a 6 out of 10. So very disappointing. So now it's time to move into Greg Pak's Mech Cadets. So as we begin to move into Mech Cadets issue 1, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening in the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7 out of 10. A big difference from the previous comic that I covered before. So now it's time to move into the internal art as we look around the beginning, middle and of course the end, and also what's happening story-wise. So as the story begins, we end up getting the names of all the cadets who are participating in this particular event. It's almost like a bit of a graduation type day for them, as the way it sort of feels like it's coming across. And we've got Mech Cadet Park, we've got Stanford, the list continues. We've got Olivia, Travis, And we do get to know the cast of characters who are in this just within the first few pages, and that's really good to see. We start to move into some of the behind the scenes of what's happening, not only with the robots or the mechs that they've bonded with, but also some of the things that are happening just around the key locations where they are seated. As we jump a little bit further, the Mech Cadets end up being sent to space to take on a bit of a hostile villain of sorts as we start to approach the middle of the book. And now it's time for them to work as a team as they start to encounter a big bad, which is showing up in the next issue. For the internal art, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the story. Do we get any indication time-wise when this is taking place? No, we don't. The next is locations, which we get to see space. I'm not too sure if the planet that's being shown here is Earth or is somewhere else. It would be nice to sort of like get that. I think in the original series it was actually meant to be Earth, but if in this one they've moved to a different location, I'd like to know that. But does that really affect the story score? Not so much. The cast of characters consisting of Stanford, Park, Francis, and Olivia. For the overall story rating in this, I give it a 7 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.